Hey guys, new video for Path of Exile Affliction League, and this video we are going to go over a different type of Transcendence build that I've made. So, been making quite a few of these, and I did finally get my hands on the new chest that was made by Mr. Belton. And this one is basically a pretty cool chest. I'll have a link in the description of the crafting video for this chest if anyone's interested. But basically, so this chest has, instead of your regular grasping mail, you can see with Eldritch Implicits, this one is actually a synthesized chest. And I guess the reason for synthesizing it is so that you can get some more physical damage taken as. So you can see this one has about 18% on the implicits. And it also does have a determination aura effect, which is pretty cool. So basically, this chest does open up a few different options for Transcendence enjoyers, you could say, but it does cause a few problems, which we'll get into this video. And I think there is some interesting use cases for this chest. The first one I can think of is for, say, for example, a setup like this. So you can see I'm actually using two swords. I'm not even using a shield. And I am running Transcendence. So you can see over here, we are running Transcendence, and we're using two swords. We don't even have to use any kind of shield because this chest gives us the additional physical damage taken as that we need to fully convert our phys damage into different elements, right? So that's kind of cool. So that's one use case. And I think another one might be to kind of remove your flask, but I think that is not really the, I don't know. I don't really think that is the best way to use it because it is already possible to remove the flask without using a chest like this. So let's go into PoB real quick. We'll look over this character's stats, and there's a couple of things that I do want to sort of explain about the chest. Alright, so we are in PoB, so you can see the stats of the character. We are at about 900k EHP, so this version I decided not to really focus on getting a lot of max res. You can see we are coming down here to grab a bit more damage, and I'm not using the Megalomaniacs like I did in the last setup, and honestly it was kind of hard to fit them in. There is a couple of downsides to using this synthesized chest we'll get into, and the first one I want to kind of show you guys is what kind of stats we lose from actually using this chest. So let's go over here and let's see how much stats we are actually going to lose from this chest. So this is my other chest I have, and you can see that we are basically losing about 33% of our full DPS. We're also losing 1 max resistance because we are losing the 20% aura effect. And then I guess we're also losing about another 780 energy shield. So it's about like 20% of our energy shield is also gone because we don't have the global defense mod. I guess we are also losing about 700k armor too, I guess because of the because we are losing the aura effect and the grace aura effect. I guess there is the termination aura effect, which is kind of similar, I guess, but okay. And then we're also losing about 300 energy shield regen. So right off the bat, losing quite a lot of stats going into this grasping mail, and so that does cause a few problems. First of all, with you're losing some max res, losing a lot of energy shield, ES regen. You can see it's not very high on this character, but overall the max hit is, I guess it's okay. It is better. The max hit is better than using just the charms. I think just with charms, we can actually go compare it in a different PoB. Okay, so this is the PoB for my non-Transcendence build. So you can see the max hit is about 370 on fire and 260-ish on cold and lightning. And that compared with the Transcendence build is quite a bit higher. It's about 200k more, you could say, maybe a little bit, give or take. So about you gain 200k or so max hit, or at least in the way that I have it set up currently. I don't think this is the only use case and the only way to build it, and it is sort of a work in progress. The build isn't really where I would want it to be. There is, yeah, I think there is definitely some things to be improved upon, and maybe a couple of things we need to adjust on the tree, or I'm not really sure yet. But in its current state, this is kind of the stat difference. One thing, let's take a look at the ES. So about 4k ES and 4.4k regen compared to the about 5k. So we're losing about 1000 ES, and then about quite a lot of ES regen. But the main thing you can see is the actual damage we lose we're about at 2 billion full DPS on the non-Transcendence version. Okay, so and going into the Transcendence version, we are about at 900 million. So this is with like Vol skills enabled. If we turn off like some of these Vol skills, you can see we are at about 500 million DPS. And the same with the actual non-Transcendence build. If we turn off all of the Vol skills, you can see we're about at 1.2 billion DPS. So basically half of our damage is basically just gone by doing this setup. We do gain a little bit more EHP, you can see, but the main thing is, well, why would you do this? So right now the non-Transcendence version can farm the Volatils maps, or pretty much all of them, very comfortably. It just has a lot of damage to go in and just like one-shot like say the Feared, for example. And then it does have enough max hit to tank most of their abilities, but it can still die to very big hits like the Atziri Double Flame Blast. Ghosted Feared can cause a few problems because they're doing more damage. But in general, you get around this by outplaying them, and since you have so much damage, as soon as you can make contact with one of them or two of them, you can pretty much just one-shot them or kill them in a few seconds before they can actually get off their dangerous abilities. So one thing I wanted to do with this build was try to make a version that can farm like some of these Mageblood maps, like say the Tower map. So the Tower map has 100% Delirious, and it also has the Feared in it. So that is giving the Feared a little bit more damage, about 30% I think. And basically just wanted to see if this can actually do those maps a little bit more comfortably without worrying about dying. So on my normal build, the non-Transcendence version, I can do these tower maps about 90% plus completion or success rate, you could say. There are some times where they will kind of surprise you and then basically just one-shot you if you're not very careful. But overall, you know, 90% completion rate, pretty good. Overall, not really losing the maps. Like, kind of rare to actually lose a map. You have to kind of play kind of bad to lose them. So basically, I wanted to try out this Transcendence version, the 2-sword Transcendence one, to see how it performs. So I couldn't actually buy any of these Mageblood maps because there was really none on the market when I looked, but we do have this other map that is very similar, the core map for the Hateforge, and the Hateforge map has pretty much the same modifiers, but it does have +6 proj, so it is going to be actually a little bit harder. So let's go and jump in and see what it's like. So I'll skip the video until we actually get to the Feared, because sometimes it takes some time to find them. One thing I forgot to mention, so for the Tower map, it has this modifier of players deal 10% less damage per equipped item. So what I'm doing in most of these maps is I'm taking off my amulet. So already we looked before, we were at 500 million full DPS, but if we take this amulet off, then it does cause a few problems. First of all, you see we're negative mana, so what I have to do is basically I'm taking out Blood and Sand, and then we're running Inspiration here instead, so we can actually run use our mark. And so you can actually see our full DPS is actually only 340 million. Now that's also with the Ancestral Protector active. Without Ancestral Protector, we go all the way down to 280 million DPS. And you can see our resistances are 79. So that's because we lost some aura effect from the amulet, actually quite a bit. And our ES regen is very low. So I'm actually very concerned that these stats are going to be able to do the map, and probably won't be. And this kind of DPS, it is going to be very slow on this map. But we'll just see what it looks like and see if we can actually, and if we can tank the double flame blast, then I think it might be, I don't know, might be good, but overall I think the DPS is looking way too low to actually do this comfortably. Alright guys, we found the Feared, and so far I was able to stand in the Shaper Beam. We're just killing Chayula off. Okay. Alright, so we found the Feared, guys, and it looks like they are inside the boss arena. So actually I died about 2 times in 2 other maps, and the main problem is this character just is dying to degen, basically, put it short. So we lost quite a lot of energy shield regen by going to this build, and we're probably gonna die when we go in here, and so just keep that in mind, but we'll just try to do our best. So let's go in here. Okay, let's try to get some walking room, I think. Okay, this degen beam, okay. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, so you can see the problem with this kind of character is, well, first of all, we're very weak to degen because first of all, we are only at 80 max res. So right off the bat, degen is doing more damage to us. And then since we lost a lot of ES regen, it means that basically most degen is actually going to start to kill you. See, we could be in the Shaper Beam for a little bit, but when it comes to other kind of degens like maybe Cortex or Elder, and then also the Shaper Beam, well, you're just going to die. And I think having more ES regen is actually better than having a higher max hit for these kind of maps, because degen is probably going to be the most deadly thing that you'll encounter. Like, it's easy to dodge the one shots, like the big double flame blast. It is kind of easy to get out of the way of that when you see it coming. But degen, you can just be teleported onto a degen pool. It can just spawn right under you. It is a lot harder to avoid degen. So I guess for these like tower maps with the reduced damage taken per item, it is not really ideal. But let's try a different map. Let's try a map with the tormented, ghosted, feared, and see how that goes. All right, so we do have a headhunter map, and let's just see what happens. Hopefully we don't die, because this map's like 40 div. We're probably gonna die. Because remember, so we can actually use our amulet in this map. So that does mean we get to use like stuff like blood and sand, and we are back up to 80 max res. But remember, degen is still going to be doing quite a lot of damage to us. And on top of that, the feared in this map are going to be doing even more damage because they are possessed. All right, so we did find the feared. We got to play a little bit careful, I think. So let's pull back a little bit. Wow, so many projectiles. This map does have +2 proj on it. So we're just kind of moving away a little bit to... Okay, we got Elder. You see, we are doing a very decent amount of damage to this guy. Wait, let's grab the map. Okay, got the map. All right, we got Edziri and Elder. So let's go kill Elder. Oh, shit. So, yeah. I was afraid that was going to happen. So, basically, degens are too big of a problem, I think, to run a setup like this for these kind of maps. I would much rather have just run my normal version without Transcendence, have 90 max res, have tons more ES regen, like I'm up to like 6k ES regen or something crazy like that, like 5 to 6k. And that degen beam would not have killed me if I was running the, the other version, but I don't know. So for these kind of Valdo maps, don't really think this is really that viable, but you think, well, why don't you just go and do what you did before and get 90 max res? Well, it's not really that easy, and it's actually kind of impossible unless, well, because basically I have to spend points to grab this extra conversion to convert some of the fizz damage taken to chaos. Otherwise, it's not really going to work. So that's 4 points lost here, and that 4 points is the points that I was using for this. So if we did all 3 Megalomaniacs over here, we'd be at 85 or 86 max res maybe. And then with this, we'd go up to 89. So it's actually probably going to be impossible to hit 90 because of the amount of aura effect we lost. Means that we did lose another max res. And then basically it means cutting all of our damage down from, well, not all of our damage, but like about 30% or 20% damage gone from losing this. And then at the end of the day, the stats basically were similar to the same build, but with a shield. So then it's kind of like, well, why even use 2 swords if the damage isn't even that much higher? But anyways, so maybe it's just the way that I'm building it right now. And like I said, it is still a work in progress. I might try to continue this build later on, but there's some other projects that I want to work on in the meantime. And so I just wanted to put this one out there, and maybe you guys can go experiment with this and maybe get some better results. Now I'm going to say that my goal was to do the void maps, not the void maps, the Valdo maps, the harder ones, with the possessed, feared, and that kind of stuff, and it didn't really work out for that. But for other content, like for Uber bossing and that kind of stuff, then this would actually be very good, because you will be able to tank a lot of these bigger boss one-shots because of the max amount of max hit we have. There isn't that many degens in bosses that to worry about, and I think even with 3k or 4k ES regen, you can out regen the Uber Elder Beam and that kind of stuff, or even the Cortex degens. So for that kind of content, then this setup will give you a little bit more DPS to actually go kill the bosses. But I mean, even on my shield build, I was pretty much almost insta-phasing them, so I don't really know if that is even worth it, but it is kind of a cool idea. The armor itself is sort of, I don't really know a good use for it right now, but I mean, we're trying to make it work. Anyways, I think we'll end the video here. I'll have the POB in the description. It's also in the Armor Stacker Compendium if you guys want to go check out and maybe improve upon the build or test some other things out if you do have that chest. But I think that's going to be it for this one, guys. I did enjoy kind of playing with this, trying to build it. It's very I think there is a lot of use cases that we don't really know about yet. So maybe there is some other cool way to use this. And so this is the first initial kind of test that I did with the chest. All right, but that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.